My name is Harold. Harold Eugene Calloway. I'm 86 years old, and I've been sitting in this chair for about 20 minutes now, trying to figure out how to begin. I've started this 3 times already. Turned the camera off twice. I'm not sure why I'm doing this today. Maybe because it rained this morning, and the sound of it on the window reminded me of something I can't quite name. That happens more now. Things remind me of other things, and I follow the thread, and then I end up somewhere quiet and a little cold, and I sit there for a while. I don't have an illness they've given a timeline to. I want to say that. I'm not recording this because a doctor said something to me last Tuesday. I'm recording this because I'm 86, and I've started to feel the edges of things. You know what I mean by that. Or maybe you don't yet. The edges of things. I grew up in a small town in western Pennsylvania, a place most people have never heard of and never will. My father worked at a mill. My mother kept the house so clean you could feel her worry in the smell of it. I had a younger sister, Dottie, and I had a life that looked, from the outside, like a life. I married a woman named Ruth when I was 24. She had brown hair and a way of laughing that made you feel like you'd said something smarter than you actually had. We had 2 sons. We built something together that looked like everything it was supposed to look like. I worked in insurance for 31 years. I coached Little League for 4 seasons. I shoveled my neighbor's driveway when the snow came heavy. I showed up to things. I want you to understand that. I showed up. But there's something I've been carrying that I never had the right words for, and that's the thing I'm trying to say today. When I was about 42, I remember standing in the kitchen one evening. Ruth was in the other room. One of the boys, Michael, was upstairs doing homework or pretending to. The TV was on low, dinner was done, everything was fine. And I had this feeling. I don't know what else to call it. A feeling. Like I was standing inside my life and looking at it through glass. Like everything around me was real and accounted for, and I was the only thing that wasn't quite solid. I didn't say anything to Ruth about it. I finished washing the dishes. I went and sat in the other room. The feeling passed, or at least it moved somewhere I couldn't see it anymore. I didn't think about it again for a long time. The thing is, it came back. Not all at once, not in any dramatic way. It came back the way a smell comes back. You're somewhere ordinary, and suddenly you're somewhere else entirely. And your chest does something strange, and then you're back again. It came back the night my father died. I flew home, I sat in the hospital room, I held his hand near the end. And I remember thinking, and I am not proud of this thought, I remember thinking, I don't know if he knew me, the real me. I'm not sure I let him. And then they said he was gone. And I flew home. And I went back to work on Monday. I don't know why I went back on Monday. Michael and I were close when he was small. He used to follow me around the yard on Saturday mornings. Handed me tools when I didn't need them. Just wanted to be near, I suppose. I remember the age when that stopped. Not a day, not an incident. Just 1 year he was following me, and the next year he wasn't. And I told myself that was just how it goes with boys. That they pull away. That it was healthy. I told myself a lot of things were healthy that were really just convenient. He lives in Oregon now. We talk on the phone. It's a decent phone call. It lasts about 12 minutes usually. We cover the weather and his kids and whether my knee is any better. I wonder sometimes what he would say if I called him and just said, Michael, I want to talk to you. Not about the weather. About something that doesn't have a name. About the thing I never said. I haven't made that call. I'm not sure I know how. Ruth passed 8 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. It was quick, which people kept telling me was a mercy, and I kept nodding because I didn't have the energy to explain what it felt like from where I was standing. She was 69 years old. 69. In the last few weeks, when she was in the bed we'd shared for 41 years, she would sometimes look at me in this particular way. Not sad. Not afraid. Just searching. Like she was trying to confirm something before she left. Like she had a question she was deciding whether to ask. She never asked it. I never asked it either. And I have thought about that look every single day for 8 years. Every day. Some mornings it's the first thing that comes to me before I've even fully woken up. That look. And me, sitting beside her, holding her hand, and both of us being quiet about the thing that was right there in the room. I don't know what the thing was. That's the part I can't get to. I have tried. I have sat in this chair many nights and tried to name it. It wasn't that we were unhappy, we weren't unhappy. It wasn't that we didn't love each other, we did. Something smaller than that. Or maybe larger. A kind of distance that we had both decided, somewhere along the way, to be polite about. A life can be full and still have something hollowed out at the center. I know that now. I wish I had known it while she was still here to talk to. There was a trip we almost took. This would have been maybe 1987. The boys were old enough. I'd had a decent year. Ruth had found this little picture in a magazine, Portugal. Some coastal town. She left it on the counter without saying anything about it. That was her way of suggesting things. Leaving them where I'd see them. I saw it. I thought about it. And then I started thinking about the cost of it and the time off. And whether it was the right year. Or whether we should wait until the boys were a little older. Or until things settled down at work. We waited. We never went. And I don't say this to make you sad about Portugal. That's not the point. The point is that the picture stayed on the counter for a while. And then one day it was gone. And neither of us mentioned it. And I think something else went with it when it disappeared. Some kind of believing that there would be time for the things we hadn't done yet. I have a neighbor, a woman named Beverly, 74 years old. She brings me things sometimes. A plate of something she cooked too much of. She's kind in a quiet way. We had coffee last winter and she asked me something nobody had asked me in years. She said, "Harold, what do you wish had been different? Not what do you regret? Not what mistakes did you make? Just, what do you wish had been different?" I sat with that for a long time. And what I told her was this. I wish I had been less careful. She nodded like she understood, and maybe she did. What I meant, and I didn't say this part, was that I had spent most of my life managing things. Managing the distance between what I felt and what I said. Managing the impression I made. Managing the risk of being seen too clearly by anyone. Even Ruth. Even my own sons. I was so careful.
And all that careful didn't protect anything in the end. The things I was afraid of losing, I lost. The people I was afraid of burdening, I kept at arm's length until the arm's length became the whole story. I'm not sure when it started, that carefulness. Somewhere in childhood, I think. My father was not a man who showed things. Not because he was cold, I don't think he was cold, but because it simply wasn't the language he had. And I learned from him the way children learn everything, without knowing I was learning it. By the time I was old enough to wonder whether there was another way, I had been the careful version of myself for so long that I didn't know where to reach to find anything else. That's not an excuse. I'm not saying it as an excuse.